Hello there, welcome to Leadership
Love.
and Laughter. My name is Victoria Dio and you are?
Natalie Potts.
We've just dropped stuff, but that's okay. What are we talking about today, Potts?
We're talking around empowering women in male-dominated industries, so kind of breaking that glass ceiling.
That's an interesting one.
Mm.
So, just full disclosure, we're sat here and stuff and we're looking at our topics, and Jamie, who is our producer, he went, I thought we should find a balance. I'm like, what about? And he said, empowering women in a male-dominated industry. And I went, that's a really good topic. Didn't realise that we'd already written it down. So
Yeah,
thanks,
planned.
Jamie. So that's why we're talking about it now. Ooh, it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've got a story.
Cool.
So years ago, I went to work in Holland and I got brought in as I think it was like a program officer or something, but quite senior.
Yeah.
And they'd literally hired me to come in as a contractor. They'd paid a lot of money to bring me on board. And I remember being downstairs one day waiting to speak to one of the directors. I was outside his office. We all had offices, by the way. So I was waiting outside his office and this bloke walked past and he looks at me up and down. He goes, are you one of the secretaries?
Mm.
And I went, yeah. Because I couldn't think of another response for him. And all I thought was, you'll find out later. And a few months later, when I called a meeting and called 3 different countries into a room, from Austria, from Germany, and I got them all to Holland. They'd all flown over and they walked in and there's me stood at the front and everybody went, it was like complete, like literally everybody's mouth fell open. Because I was like, I don't know how else to stick a finger up at you.
Yeah.
And make it forever satisfying.
Yeah.
And 20 years down the line and stuff, it's still the most satisfying story.
It's yeah, I would have loved to be that. Like the fly on the wall moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
My I remember once having a contractor come in and said, like, where's your store leader? And I was like, and again there was a bit of that silence. Where's the store leader? Need to speak to them. Get something signed off on that. And I was like, you're looking at her. And his face just, you could tell he was just awkward because it was like his face just dropped. And I said, what do you need help with? But I was really blunt back and my tone and everything was like that, like you're looking at her. Because it was just, oh, where are they? And I'm like, it's me. There's a few of those times, but yeah, I think I've always held my own very strong on some things. Maybe some things I'm a little bit, not naive, that's not the right word, but I'm oblivious to, actually it's a better word. It's just like move on, next thing, and I'm very channel focused on some things. So yeah, I'm saying that because I probably think a lot of this happens still, and it's probably just as bad at times.
100%.
And I think that's the point where I'm like, it doesn't happen. It's like, it does happen.
It does.
And I think that's the point I want to raise, like, don't be that oblivious to things.
Yeah. So here's my thing. And I know there's multiple genders out there, but I'm going to say this is, for whatever reason, if you're feeling, or if we know that there are certain people who need empowering, it is up to us to then educate ourselves. So we're talking about a male-dominated industry. I'm inviting the males, to educate themselves on women needing to be empowered, because empowerment comes in different formats. So, for example, and I could talk about this forever, so please interrupt when you want to. But I can talk about women who are experiencing the menopause. When you're experiencing the menopause, you lose a part of yourself. And yes, can you regain it? You do. But I've seen women who have literally been brought to their knees because of menopause. And with everything else that goes around the lack of empowerment, adding that to the mixture, it makes it even worse. So, talking behind a woman's back because she's not doing what she needs to do, because maybe she just is completely fatigued, got brain fog, lack of clarity, and so much more. Or the woman feeling so sensitive and maybe being on edge with people around her and stuff. It's like, if you understood how menopause could affect your staff and affect your colleagues, you'd be a lot more sympathetic and you'd be able to empower them more. Or just knowing about your people who are around you. If, for example, any gender, but if they go through a breakup, being able to be empathetic towards that situation rather than seeing it as two separate things. It's like, we've all been through breakups, and sometimes some breakups hurt more than others. So how do we support those people so that we can empower them and not make them feel like everything that they do is wrong? Or a woman going for a promotion and making it only more, make it more appealable or palatable to the men and stuff. There's so many that I can talk about, and it's like, we need to change the narrative and educate those people that aren't women so that we can give them...
Right, that's the key word there, is educate.
Yeah.
Because people often land in leadership roles, and I say land, but they've got to those roles because they've been very good at doing something.
Yeah.
Essentially. And not all the case, but there's general status quo on some things. There's a part where in my journey and stories, I think about the male-dominated industry for sure, but the females in that were just as challenging, or that they would uphold and support certain things around the guys. I remember many a time, and more towards the end of my journey in the corporate world, but I had a HR business partner, and she challenged me on some way I came across, and it wasn't rude, but it was very like, I needed to think about how I come across. And because it was around the room, and there was 20 guys, and I was the only female, and her, and then my core line manager, who was a male. And I just turned around to her, and I was silent, and I just said, this conversation's not going to continue, because you wouldn't be having it with any of those guys around a table. You're having it with me. I said, if they'd have said what I'd said, it would have been laughed. Oh, well, you shouldn't have said that or something. I said, so I've disrupted it. You don't know what to do with that, because it's not easy for you to just bat off, but it's a conversation that needs to happen. And I said, so that what I'm sharing here is that didn't help in a male-dominated industry for other women, because actually, if you weren't a bit strong and bolshy like me, where I'd say, I'm not having that, or actually, no, let's have that conversation right now, what you mean by that, because I'm not feeling okay with it, lots of people wouldn't do that, and they certainly wouldn't challenge a business partner on it, for sure, like someone sometimes. So I'm very aware of the confidence there to do that, but I think, we've got to be understanding these male-dominated, like the impact they have for people, because we've still got, again, lots of industries where women don't want to rise to the top, or they feel that they hit the glass ceiling, and it's how do we break down those barriers and overcome the obstacles there? And again, that was something that was always spoken about with the world I was in, was how do we get women to, like you, where we've only clearly got one. And then I'd find that my voice still was very, like, just pushed down, because actually the stuff I was going to share, I just didn't want to hear it, because it brought so much change or challenge and things like that. Yeah,
I think it's difficult when women play to the game.
Yeah.
So it's that whole thing where it's like, well, if I can't beat them, I'll join them.
I hate that though.
But again, it's a human response. So
it's like a safety response, though, isn't it?
Of course. And here's the thing: it's like, in Maya Angelou's words, you knew then what you knew was best, and now that you know better, do better.
Yeah.
Right. It's that whole thing of they're surviving, because here's the thing: if they didn't join in, then their jobs would be at risk, or the focus would be on them. So hey, I'll join in, I'll laugh at their jokes, and I'll help keep other women on the curb as well. And actually, I think we need to do a talk about women supporting women as well, because I think that
I think that's key.
That doesn't happen enough as well. Like,
No.
it's almost like we're scared that if we get to a place that's favorable, we don't want any other women to come on board and enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's such a shame. And as a result, I think men may get confused as well, because they're like, well, are we supporting you because you guys don't support yourselves? So
Yeah.
does that make sense as well? So
Yeah,
I can see it.
100%.
I can see it from all different angles. But here's the thing. For the men out there, I'm going to say this to you. You do not realize the gift you have of having women in your workplace or your teams. These are some of the most intuitive beings that will ever walk the earth. And when you suppress them, then you also suppress the energy of your businesses. I'm going to tell you that straight and forward. So you need to be nurturing them just like you would nurture your mother, your daughters, your wives, and everything else and stuff. You need to be nurturing the women in your business.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because I think back to, it was so long, nearly 20 years in male-dominated environments, and I thrived in it. I loved it. I loved the kind of go hard and
did.
you know that culture.
Yeah.
I did very well in, and it's how do we really embrace that for people as well, that to go into it.
But do you know why I enjoyed it?
Why?
I was very much in my masculine energy.
Right.
I was very much in my masculine energy. I had zero feminine energy. I was literally go, 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 go. And as a result, I sacrificed the joy of the feminine energy. That's why I enjoyed it. I was there. I was bullshit.
Do you think then, so in a way to empower some women, it's about saying you actually maybe need to probably lean into that a bit more of a male energy?
I believe that you need to, I believe that you need to allow yourself to embrace both.
Yeah.
Because when you embrace both, then you get more out of it. But I believe that as women, subconsciously or not, we are forced to embrace more masculine energy. And so if you'd have come to me 10 years ago in the corporate world, I'd be like, I just love what I do. And I did. I loved what I did. Like, I didn't hate. I'm one of the few people in the personal development world who didn't hate their job. I loved what I did. I thrived. I actually thought that was my first calling. And I still believe it is. It was my first calling. But I was very much go, 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 go. And now I look at it and I go, there were some decisions where I think, God, you so shortchanged yourself there, you know, because you were going without paying attention to everything else. So I wasn't the most empathetic.
No, I wasn't.
No, I wasn't the most empathetic, but I was go, 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 and I got the results.
Yeah.
That's not the person that I want to be.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's not the person I want to be.
No.
And also, you know, but I remember seeing women, especially women of color, being scared to apply for jobs because they knew they wouldn't get it. And I remember there was one particular woman who was very good at what she did, and she'd got to a certain level. It was almost like junior manager, and she wanted to go above. And I remember when she applied, I remember the men sat there and literally mocked her behind her back, and they came up with every other excuse why they thought that she shouldn't go for the job. And the way I did it was I actually went to these women and prepped them and coached them to go out and look for better jobs, because I was like, listen, you need to change the narrative here. You need to stop being in an organization just because you like the people or just because you can go for drinks after work with people. I was like, you need to look beyond that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I ended up being responsible for some of the biggest careers in the city right now, because I literally went, I was like, you may not get a job here, but guess what? I can help you with your CV. I can help you with your coaching, give you the confidence to go out there and get whatever job you did. And they did.
I think you're right when we talk about women empowering women. I think from all perspectives, one thing that I really, and I'm very mindful of this in terms of giving back is one of my values as well in business, but helping younger generations in a capacity is so important to me. It's something I want to continue to build on even more time to in my future career, so in what I'm doing. The point around it is that I wish I'd probably asked, I should have asked for it more, but been mentored by more women of senior levels, and also women that would have, and men with this one, but women and men who would have helped me navigate, but also cultivate the landscape I wanted in terms of a career, what that looked like. It was just kind of the next thing. And I did very well at that. So the success was quite linear for me. But actually for someone to really think like, what do you want in life? Like, and to mentor from that capacity, I really think that that's one, it's a gift that we could, like we talk about empowering and what we do. That's within all of us, and you and I sitting here right now, to be able to give back to people. And I've actually got it with one of my clients, with her sons who's going through university and he wants to build his own business. And I've said, look, I'll mentor him. I said, because I talk about giving back. I do mentor for one coaching establishment. I said, but I want to do something else. So I said, it's on him to come to me. I'm not going to lead that. 100%. I need him to do that way 100%, first. 100%. I said, but I'll give everything. And I said, because I want to give back as well. And I think if we could, all of us in lots of business roles, and again, that's that point of like this phrase, like your knowledge isn't common knowledge. Like we've all got the ability to help and give back to more people with the stuff that we know now and our experience, and we could all do that with somebody. And I think that would bring us a lot of empowerment as well by empowering and helping other people.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentored and headed a number of graduate schemes for different companies, all multi-million pound companies, and as a result, so just to give you some context, I used to manage the graduate schemes for project management for people like Balfour Beatty and Transport for London and everything else. And what that gave me was the ability to mentor some of the most promising individuals and give them that give them the confidence to be able to go out. They're all on multi-six figures now. You know what I mean, and stuff. So they're all doing so well. But these are people who come to me at the age of 23, and you guide them and watch them and stuff, and they're so fresh. They're so fresh, like they don't have a clue what's going on. But you take them and you nurture them to the point where you hope that one day that they're going to pay that forward.
I love that.
Pay it forward to somebody else. And that's all I ever say to them. Like whenever they come to me now, like one of them, she wanted to give up she came as a temp actually, and she wanted to give it up and go traveling. And I was like, well, what are you going to do after when you come back from traveling? She was like, I don't know. And I was like, you're coming back onto the graduate scheme? And she was like, I don't think I want to. I said, you're coming back onto the graduate scheme. She ended up heading one of the biggest parts of Olympics 2012. And she wrote me one of the most gorgeous letters. I need to find that letter. But it was just one of the most beautiful letters. She was like, if it wasn't for you, I would never have come in and do that. And she goes, and I'm sat in the tower in the Olympic staging, and I'm looking out, and all I can think is, Vic got me here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there's a part for me that's sitting here very profoundly at the top of my mind, is that belief is a huge part. That again, others seeing something in you that maybe you don't see, or that belief part.
100%.
And I've got that. One of them was my drama teacher, where he was like, you're really good at that. And I was like, really? And then I went on to do a drama degree and everything. And in my first, the place where I worked in, the leader I had saying, you're going to be a team leader. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he's like, you will. He goes, let's do it. And I was like, what do you think I can? He's like, yeah, you nail it. And yeah, I did really well at it. So but that level of belief there, when you don't have it, and I love that as well when I see things in people, that level of potential as well. And I'm starting to look at some things more around, again, going back to even purpose, but looking in the business capacity of my value. I'm always looking at vision, mission, values in my business as well. But I want to make people feel good and remarkable in their own way. And also look at like that part, that how do you help somebody find and get the potential that they've got? Because I don't think we educate it enough, which is something you said at the start about education. And I don't think we help people and guide people enough on that journey piece. We just almost expect them to have had those tools once they've landed out, and we need to be able to help people on those stages earlier, I think, as well.
So let's turn it around though, because I have probably maybe 2 or 3 people that I've been looking to mentor for ages.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how much I try and mentor them, they literally can't see the wood for the trees.
You're not looking at me, are you, with that? Because I don't listen sometimes. Like, no.
No. And you know when you're like, I'm giving you such a great opportunity. For example, somebody that we know posted free seats to a major event that's happening next week. And I tagged this person. I was like, go for it.
With that face as well.
My
The energy
my
here is that.
message, my message pretty much was in that energy. And I just went, go and have a look. I was like, go and have a look. I wasn't going to sort of like just put it on their plate. I was like, go and have a look.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Go and have a look. I've tagged you. And they never did.
What's your point?
My point is, and stuff, it's like, it's all good having people who are willing to be mentored, and that, and also those of us who do mentor and getting us to empower people. But sometimes there are people who just don't want to be empowered.
Yeah.
There are some people who don't take advantage of those opportunities.
100%.
And
but I'm not here for them.
No, very true, but it happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does happen. And a bit like when you said, oh, they need to come to me.
Yeah.
There's several who don't come to you.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is very frustrating. And here's the thing. When it comes to empowering women, you can only empower the women that want to be empowered.
Yeah.
And as a result, if we come back here 20 years' time and we're still having the same conversation, there's a strong possibility that there are some women who just don't want to be empowered. And guess what? As a result, those behaviors continue because they're like, well, you're still here, aren't you? The only way to actually change the narrative is to actually change the situation. It's about changing the status quo that will then create an upset where people go, oh.
Do you think it comes back to, again, though, the part they don't believe they can?
I'm sorry, so that
they
again?
Don't believe they can have what
of
they want.
Of course it is. It's deeper work that they need to do. But again, and listen, I'll always offer that work. But there comes a time when you need to sit down and take responsibility for your own life.
Yeah, I'm massive on this right now about responsibility.
Yeah, you have to take responsibility. It's that whole thing where, so I used to interview quite a lot when, when I used to be in the corporate world, and people would come in and go, well, I have one question. Yeah. So are you gonna, what's the word? Develop me, cause can I go on courses? And I'll go, you can go on courses, but it's for you to write your development plan.
Right.
And then you get people who, if you speak to them, they go, well, that company never, ever developed me. They never gave me any courses. They never put me on any course. And it's like, did you tell them what courses you wanted to go? No. So I said, let me get this straight. An organization that has 3,000 employees, you want them to come over to you and go, hi, Victoria, we think you should go on this course. I said, if you don't care about your life, your career, who will? It's that whole thing. You can tell I'm so passionate about this and stuff because it winds me up.
Yeah. It's hard when you think to someone that is the age, maybe the like young 20s. And yeah, but if they have, they're in a situation where they haven't, or actually maybe you've got kids and you think like, this sounds like my kids, where it's like, how do you empower them and motivate them to get started? There is a bit that there's only so much you can give, isn't there? But if, again, it's like, you don't know what you don't know. So I often think that I see the art of the possible in the world and the opportunities because I've travelled the world and I've seen that and I've had those experiences. So, but if you haven't got that context, you don't know. So therefore you channel and you default to what you do know, right?
Then you have to learn, and you need to. I mean, right now you can find out anything.
It's true.
You can find out anything.
Curiosity.
You have to have a level of curiosity. And here's the thing. And I said this. I said this to somebody very close to me recently, and I'm going to try and paraphrase it. But I said, to be in charge, you need to serve first.
Sure.
You need to be a servant. Before you can be the head of, you need to be a servant first. I said, because here's the thing. Everybody wants to be in charge. Everybody wants to be the director or the CEO. I said, but if you didn't work your way up, if you just landed that job, you are never going to be able to empathize with the people who are below you. You need to work your way up. And as a result, you need to learn. You need to ask questions. You need to be curious enough to go, do you know what? I know I'm going to screw this up, but that's okay. I'm going to keep on asking along the way.
I think interestingly in what the part around thinking about what you shared here is, for me, I don't think enough people know what they want.
No.
And I think some of this actually just is making me think about some of this is a little bit more of a tell culture, that this is a practical stuff you can go and do, get a mentor, be curious, do a development plan. Like you just said, the world's your oyster of what's available to us at our fingertips now. So go out there and do this and this. But like you just said, even if we're mentoring and doing that, it's that next step. Like you've got to take the responsibility to do that. And that's the part where some of this is what you got to go and do it.
Yeah, but the thing is also, and this is why I think that there needs to be roles within. Just knocking over the mic. There need to be roles that are dedicated to doing this, because here's the thing: HR, management, they have other jobs to do. So you can only care about somebody else's career before you go, I have other work to do, and then I have to worry about my career as well.
Sure.
So it's almost like having dedicated teams within an organization that can help to coach and elevate. And that's where people like us come in, sort of like looking at things like from an intuitive perspective, so that you can actually then get people to fall in love with their lives. And it's nothing to do with the work that they're actually doing, but it can definitely enhance the work that they do. Because right now people are trying to do 20 things at the same time, and as a result, balls are dropping, and people's mental and emotional state is suffering because of it.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's got scope to go on to more around like the part of like empowering women empowering women, isn't it?
Yeah, but women have to want to be empowered, and there's enough forums out there now where you can go and throw your hat in the ring and go, I do want to be empowered, And so I'm intrigued to see what comes out of this, because I'm hoping that people can come up and go, do you know what, this episode resonates with me. I'd love to be mentored, and also what you want to be mentored in as well. I think that's really important, because the specifics. So, if you want to be mentored, then tell us what you want to be mentored in, because we may just know people who may want to mentor you.
And it's like I had somebody come to me the other day about having a call, and they said, I'm just not sure what I want with this and this yet. And I said, look, here I can help you. And I sent a few resource things as such, or pointed to like other stuff that you could do. And I said, but the reality is I'm not going to give my time to someone that doesn't know what they want to do. And that's why I always present it like, I want to let people know what they want. And that's that part, is go out there and do that groundwork first, and then reach out, because you'll get there quicker as well. I remember I was mentored by a master coach. There was only 12 in the business at the time, but I asked for it. I was like, this is what I'm doing and this is what I want.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get more by doing that, and you're going to have to lean into feeling uncomfortable with that and uncertain and getting rejection and being judged. All of those feelings and emotions are going to come through. But what comes off of that is incredible as well. And actually we need more people doing these. So this is us saying, like, you lead the way on these things, and lead the way of you first of all, what you can do, what's in your gift, because that's the type of thing that breaks through, like glass, like we talked about glass ceiling there, but it is true, like, and you reach those points. And I guess for me, reaching that, I look back and think I didn't break through it. I did in some ways, but then then where I was at in my life at that time, so I didn't do the next step. But I guess I could argue what I did. I just went and did my own business with it. I just wanted to do my own thing, and that's not necessarily about me failing at that. It's just me seeing the possibility of something new and something better in its own way, and I learned from it. So I think the ability to have perspective, reflect, and again tap into, actually, what do I really want with this? What is this telling me? Can lead you on a completely different route.
So it's interesting, because I remember from, goodness, when I was at university, actually, I remember there was a point at university when I thought to myself, oh my God, when I graduate, I'm going to have to get a job. It was like this realization. I was like, oh my God. And then my first fear was, I'm going to get bored. That was
Why?
Because I deep down knew that I didn't want a job that was going to look the same every day.
The reality is, you are, and we know it's intuition anyway, but you knew you had a higher calling, right?
At the time I didn't, but I guess it was.
I guess you did though.
Yeah, I guess it was the beginning of, but I was just like, oh my God, I need a job that's never going to be the same. And then I realized that I understood project management. So I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do that. But then I remember saying to myself, I'm setting standards. I didn't even know what standards meant at the time, but I remember saying, I want to be in charge. I don't want to work Saturdays, which is hilarious because all I do is work weekends now. But
on your terms, though.
On my terms, of course. Yeah, and I wanted to work on my terms. And you know what? I got all of those things. So I didn't need empowering because I had already empowered myself by the time I got there because I knew what I wanted. So I knew I wanted a top job. So I went in I hit 100 grand within 9 months of leaving university.
Amazing.
Like I was on it. Like I knew what I wanted and stuff. And I knew I wanted to be in charge. I knew I wanted to manage projects. I didn't know how much project management and managing projects would cost or would pay, but I hit 100K very quickly. Like I knew what I wanted and I wasn't going to let anybody take that away from me. Nobody was ever going to take away my flexibility, my freedom. I worked from home quite a lot. Like
yeah, but where does that's the point of saying breaking through as well and empowering women? Like, where did that come from? That I just knew. Where did that come from?
Again, maybe the intuition, but also my mum was watching my mum do incredible things in a society where you saw very few women do that.
Yeah.
I guess I took some of that from her, but I was very on it. Like there was nobody who was going to come and mess around my career. And I loved every minute of it. But again, like I said, I had a lot of masculine energy and stuff. And whilst I loved it, it's prepared me for this space now where I help people to, close that gap in their lives and to nurture them so that they can fall in love with their lives and create those intuitive strategies for them.
The key for me today has been around the part of, like you just said, probably that deep level of masculine and feminine energy. I've got a very he's not a spiritual friend, but I knew him years ago. He's a videographer in the fitness world, and we just met through an event, and then we just stayed in contact. We've gotten really well, and he was sharing once at a time again, like when I was leaving that world, and again going into relationships. He says you need to lean in more to your feminine energy and everything, and I did a lot of groundwork around it a few years ago, but it's still something I'm aware of and working through. But that can lead you again, like as something to go and have a look at. Is just be curious to that type of things, like the world, the environment you're in now around energy, and also what you want and what that looks like. Because I'm very conscious of that in the world I'm in right now, that I create and set that world for me right now. When I came out of the corporate world, I went straight into a mastermind that was all male dominated. Yet the story of leaving that was I was, the challenging relationships with females at the time. So, but I was repeating that pattern because it was kind of safe. And then it was then a realization of like, actually, I need less of this again. Now, what does that look like? So it's not an overnight thing, but I think that energy could offer for some people. And again, like everything we share, it's going to be for some people and not for others on certain things. 100%. And you've just got to explore and see what works for you. That's what's incredible about this. So that might offer some support for people as well, just to be guided in that way. And likewise, if you want to ever reach out to either of us and ask us of our personal experiences, and do it, because that's really important as well, because we can direct individually based on people's situations where they are. And it might not be that it would be us, but we could say, here's who we do know. And I think that's what we always have within our gift, isn't it? We know lots of people and like great people in different things as well.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you.
No, thank you. We will see you round the corner for another episode of Leadership, Love and Laughter. Speak to you soon.